Hi, so for this week's video journal, I did it on the musical Rent. Okay, for the first question, what did I notice? Something that I noticed was unlike other plays, this one was obviously a constant musical. I thought it was actually really entertaining to watch, and I was surprised at how easily the story came through song. I don't typically like to watch musicals, they're not my preferred mode of play to watch. I'm not really into the whole like song splitting up the play dynamic, but I think that actually Rent did a really good job of not losing kind of the story through cheesy song. So that's something I noticed that was really interesting, and I was actually surprised that I was so interested in it. For question two, two values in this dramatic world, there's definitely a lot to choose from, but two that were very strong to me were adversity. Out of all the things that people had to deal with within the play, like struggles with money, HIV or AIDS, drug abuse, self-esteem, even like specifically Roger and his girlfriend's suicide, or maybe Mimi's drug use or drug addiction problems. And then the second value that I wrote down was love. There was a lot of characters that were in relationships. The relationship between Roger and Mimi, Maureen and Joan. Both relationships in the play tackled many obstacles that were thrown at them, hardships, poverty, struggling with sexuality, illness, lots of drug use, etc. Moving on to question three, something that I actually not necessarily circled with a pencil, but I did a little bit more research on during the play was I was confused as to whether Mimi actually was suffering from HIV or AIDS, or it was just a severe drug addiction. So I actually went on to a couple of online discussion chats about this play, and it seemed like the popular consensus between people is that they felt that she did suffer from HIV, which I was just not 100% sure of when I was watching it. An issue of diversity is I definitely chose to write about sexuality for this one. It was associated greatly at this time with HIV or AIDS. Many of these individuals were looked down upon. It was considered a gay disease rather than just an actual issue of public health. Angel, being a drag performer, also accentuated the issue of sexuality. Still today, there are issues with stereotyping involving sexuality. Even still, the HIV and AIDS can still be stereotyped towards more gay men. I also feel like recently in the news with certain trans laws that we're kind of going backwards, so I connected that to what's going on today. For question five, the song that I chose to analyze was Take Me or Leave Me. It was my favorite song from Rent. It's sung by Maureen and Joan. They're fighting about how flirty Maureen is, and that makes Joan pretty jealous. And Maureen's confidence, it's not her fault, and it's just who she is. And this song kind of reminds me of like female empowerment. And then finally, my two questions about the play were, one, did you think the musical enhanced the storyline or kind of took away from it? And then my second question was, what do you think out of all the themes portrayed in Rent was intended to be the most prominent?